Discord and a welcome, beautiful souls. Oh my goodness. Day 2. This, I know, is going to be so much fun because we are talking about one of my favorite topics in the entire world. And I forgot just how much I enjoy speaking about this and being in this. This is almost like this full circle or spiral moment for me. So I'm just going to pull this up so I can see that we are live in the group. I don't see it yet. Interesting. Nicole, would you mind checking to see if I am live in the group on your end here? And you can see that. I'd love for us to be in all of the places as multidimensional beings who can be in more than one place at once. So those who are here live on Zoom, you're trickling in, you're rolling in, and I'm feeling like I want to set the energy up with a little bit of stuff. It's just still saying preparing live stream. So maybe what I'm going to try to do is, it said the connection timed out. Got it. I'm going to go live again here. Let's see if it works. Come on, Zoom. You can do it. Put your back into it, Zoom. It's still preparing. Usually this is instant, so let us set the intention and hold the space for it to connect into Facebook. Maybe, well, this often happens when there's too much energy, too much magic. It's really easy for Zoom to have trouble connecting to things. So it is still preparing the live. We're going to take a moment to just, for the people that are here in the Zoom room, welcome you in. We might need to just stick with the Zoom, and then I'll get Nicole to post in the group that that's where we're meeting for the live, and I can always just upload the video afterwards. Maybe we can edit this fun part out. Technical experiences, challenges, and what a great opportunity to highlight what we're talking about as needed in business and life. So I will try creating the live stream one more time. And if it doesn't work, then we'll just invite everyone to join us on Zoom and we'll upload the video. But let me know where you are unironically zooming in from, and just put it in the comments so we can start to anchor our energy across the world. All right, let's see here. We'll try doing the live stream one more time. Otherwise, we're going to meet just on Zoom here. Stop in the live stream, and then I'm going to type this in here. So I'll mute myself for a moment. Make yourself comfortable. All right, this is try number 3. Everyone feel your intention towards the live stream into the group. And 3, 2, 1. It's still preparing the live stream. The bar is going across. And now it's stopped. Come on, live stream. I'm feeling like it's not going to happen. So Nicole, if you would not mind, can you please make an announcement in the group that if people are wanting to connect live, we are doing an intimate container right here in the Zoom room, and I will upload the replay when we are finished. So we will just return to this present moment. And I'm just going to end this here. Welcome. I'm so happy that we're here on Zoom, even if the Facebook tech is not working to have all of the multidimensional things. But this is such a great example of what we're talking about day 2 here, which is flow. There is a time in my life where a technical difficulty would have riled up my nervous system, and I would have gone, oh no, what do I do? Let me know if tech has ever, I mean, I want to say betrayed me, but that's a little dramatic. Like, we can drop the hyperbole. But if tech has ever just not worked for you, or if you've been teaching, facilitating, or doing something in life, and life has been like, here is an obstacle. There you go. Please tell me I'm not the only one who's ever had an obstacle placed in front of them when they are doing something that they are placing high value and importance upon. Yeah. Samantha's like, you are not alone. I know I am not alone because we all live here on this planet, and there are obstacles littering our path. And I believe that our capacity to turn those obstacles into opportunities, as we talked about on day 1 in Divine Alchemy, turning your shit into gold, right? Turning the obstacles that are in front of you into an experience, a lesson, a school, something that is going to train you to be more badass and able to hold more and be more strong, resilient, like creative. There's a million different reasons and different ways that we can navigate challenges, boulders in our path, like tech, like things going terribly awry. And how we're able to navigate them is not only the alchemy, but it's also about whether or not we're going to be stopped cold, stuck in this contracted energy field where we don't feel safe and we lose our connection to all of our creativity, intellect, intuition, logic, reason, and our capacity to like see the solutions, which do exist. If we have that collapsed energy field, which can be related to our nervous system, our sense of safety, our beliefs, our body, what our body feels like, if we get into fight or flight because of it, or are we able to maintain our divine flow? If we can flow with what is transpiring, with what is occurring in our life, then we will become masters at living. Surely finding that flow, that energy of like not being stopped by an obstacle, but moving around it is badass. It's magical. It feels so much better than being like stopped in your tracks. And it allows us to keep the momentum. And I know the people that are here, you are on your road to mastery with this in life, and you have all these tools and you use these tools, and you're here because the up level for us available right now, as we talked about on day 1, is not just to use your tools after you've been stopped dead and then you have to like dig your way out of the hole and completely relax your nervous system after feeling like you're under attack, right? But rather to level up your capacity to flow with the challenges that life is going to continue to throw at you as though you were playing a game of Fruit Ninja, right? Just challenges after one after another is what life really is. When you learn how to flow around them or with them instead of letting them stop you in your tracks, when you can alchemize things in the moment, again, this is where you are moving into mastery, right? When you are moving into this capacity to work with life, to dance with life, to have life flow with you instead of like whack you in the face, throw you off the rails. And let's be very clear. There's absolutely nothing wrong or bad about you or yourself and your experience if you have been thrown off the rails. We all have, right? There's nothing inherently wrong with that. But what I'm inviting us into is this conversation of this up-leveling of our capacity to use our alchemy in the moment, to flow with things, and to expand our ability to navigate things as they come up. Are we going to be perfect at it every time? Of course not. But it's a practice. And we're going to talk today about flow state and how we get there. And practice is one of those things. So I'm glad some people are finding us from the Facebook live stream that never was today. It was not going ahead. So we are flowing with this beautiful intimacy that we can have in this container. And I am so happy to have people from around the world. We have people from all over North America, Colorado, Manitoba, Northern California, lots of my Edmontonian friends, Minnesota. And we'll see where people, oh, we're very North American in this group right now. And that's beautiful. This timing works for us, but we have had a beautiful global community watching the replays and connecting in. So when I was asking if tech has ever not worked for you, I'm just reading these comments now. Equipment, crapping out. Yeah, lost a $2,400 contract because someone has been sick in my family for the last 3 weeks. Oh, yeah, it is. Hope's doing it, turning the challenge into an opportunity, because she said it's been great to help clarify what I want to do and the terms of my contracts. Okay, celebrating you, because this is that real life alchemy of like being able to take and transmute the crap that is happening and letting it level you up, letting the challenge turn into this opportunity to refine, to fine tune, to become more badass, to become more responsive to situations, right? It is a beautiful thing that we get to practice and expand. She is saying it's been a huge level up. Yeah. So this is always the invitation when life is throwing, lemons or other fruits as though we are in that game of Fruit Ninja. Are you going to just like let yourself be pelted by them? Or are you going to go, you know what? I have skills. I can navigate this. And maybe you dodge them. Or if you're someone who has some swordsmanship, maybe you're going to slice them, right? But that it takes practice, right? It takes practice not to let little things take you out. And when we're children, or if you're a parent of young kids, you'll notice that what takes a child out and will put them into a full meltdown mode can be something that seems so insignificant. And you're like, I did not know I could ruin somebody's entire day by giving them the red cup instead of the green cup. But they asked for the red cup, so I'm extra confused. Because to a child who has this smaller window of tolerance in their nervous system, and they don't have the same experience and perspective, those little things feel really, really big. And as we grow, our capacity to navigate challenges that would have taken us out in the past grow as well, right? And let's just say none of this is fair. Like, we're not saying that it is fair that life does this to us. It is not fair that people in your family will get sick and you have nothing to do with that. It was out of your control and you lost the contract because of it. That's not fair. This earth life is not fair. Some people are going to have more obstacles inherently in their life. Some people are going to have so many more trials and tribulations and traumas than others, right? So many people are going to have more privilege, less privilege, more to overcome in terms of their ancestral wounds, in terms of their childhood, in terms of their economic or socio status, related to class, race, all of those things. If they're able-bodied, if they have chronic illness, everyone has different obstacles in their way. So I really want to make that clear about this conversation about flow, is I am not saying that it is fair. And I know that so many people have overcome massive hurdles, but I also know the hero's journey. And we're going to be speaking a little bit later with my dear friend and coworker and co-creator, former and current client, Nicole Rose, who is going to share an example from her life of a hero's journey where there was a massive boulder, a massive obstacle to overcome that actually taught her how to flow with life in a very, very magical way, right? So I'm curious if you have a definition of flow state already. Have you heard of this before? Is it something you felt? Is it something you aspire to have? Does it inspire you? Do you enjoy the state of flow? Is it something that you desire more of? So put it in the comments and let me know what you think about flow state. What does it look like to you? What does it feel like? How do you experience it? So we could talk about the definition that was given by a few social scientists, anthropologists, in fact, and they are actually the first ones that wrote about this in this anthropological way. And I have a degree in sociocultural anthropology, so this is very near and dear to my heart, this looking at people and how they work cross-culturally through participant observation. But Jeannie Nakamura and Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi talked about and wrote about flow state. And Mihaly has a great TED Talk that you can watch. And he calls flow state this feeling where, under the right conditions, you become fully immersed in what you're doing. And there's this focus that, once it becomes intense, leads to a sense of ecstasy, a sense of clarity. You know exactly what you want to do from one moment to another, and you're getting this immediate feedback. And it's this alignment between body, mind, heart, and soul, where they're all co-creating instead of feeling separate and compartmentalized. It's feeling this beautiful flow energy. So I love this. Dusty saying flow state is magical. Everything just comes in as you need it and goes where it's needed as if by magic. And I am so productive when I'm in flow state. Yeah, there's this ease when we are in flow state, right? Celio says flow state to me feels like floating in water, at peace with a sense of calm and surrender. Yeah, two elements that have flow, that fluidity to them, I would say, are water and air, right? Fire, while it can be like, it's not really fluid, it's got its own energy. Earth has that more solid energy, but water and air, they flow, right? So there is a desire for some of these beautiful souls that are here writing, they do desire more flow state, working to be in flow state. And this is an interesting conversation because the weird dichotomy about flow state, and I can say that I feel like I have some expertise on flow, and I'll explain why in a few moments. The weird thing about flow is that while we have to work to create the structures and systems to get there, to practice it, to like train our muscle memory and our neural pathways to find it, in order to be in it, it's a paradox. And we actually can't work harder for flow. There is a lean back energy of surrender that must occur to be in flow. Because if you have any resistance in your being, in your body, in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, in your energy field, resistance is what's like gonna keep you from being fully in flow. So flow is kind of like the opposite of resistance. And resistance can come from any thing, right? Any one. And the reason that like water flows better than, let's say, molasses is because of like the all of actually, I'm not going to try to explain the chemistry of it because I'm going to in physics of it. I'm going to explain it incorrectly. But there's they call it about like surface tension and things like that, right? When there's tension, when there's resistance, things don't flow as easily. So I am going to do something to share with you my favorite example for myself personally of flow state. And I'm glad we're on Zoom because this might be a little easier. I'm going to share with you one of my flow arts. I might have explained on day one that in my first business, I was a professional flow artist, teacher, performer, a hula hooper. So I'm going to share with you a video of what that looks like. But while you're watching it, like, sure, ooh and ah, but what I want you to really receive is how does it feel to watch it? I want you to take a moment. So breathe with me here. Take a breath into your heart space. Big sigh out. Feel the softening in your body. Do another couple one of those as I'm speaking. Just breathing in, dropping the resistance, softening the body. I want you to feel the energy of what I am feeling in your body when you watch this video. So let me know in the comments here if you are able to see my screen. I'm gonna get this here. Oh, this is supposed to be at the beginning. I'm only going to play 1 minute and 44 seconds, which if you like numerology, you're probably going to enjoy. Oops, did it do it? Nope. We are having more technical difficulties. Let me know if you hear it. Thank you. Okay, so I shared my computer sound and it says it cannot hear it. Let's see. Let's try now. Type in for me. Can you hear it? Look at these technical problems we are flowing with.
Charismatic.
This is unfortunate if it was choppy for you. I can post the video inside the Facebook group, but this was a mix by Grismatic. I'd have to look at the name of it. And I can't help but dancing to this. And music is a great example of finding flow. But I also have to ask you, how do you think? That's a silly question. My kids in elementary school can answer this question, but how do you think I learned how to do this with a hula hoop? Just throw it into the chat box. Throwing it into the chat box. How did I learn how to find my flow and experience it with my hula hoop? Ah, Celio goes practice. And hope. It was called your hoop. Hope goes lots and lots of practice, right? Observing models, surrender, letting the hoop lead me. Yes. So study, practice, and even then, with all the study and practice, there are people who have had this experience of hula hooping a lot, right? Being like, spending a lot of time in their hoop that I'll be honest, didn't have the same capacity to just drop into flow state that I acquired after a lot of practice, because there was that element of surrender that I had to cultivate, where I put in the work and then I had to learn how to let all of it go and drop in. And there's a state of wholeness and presence in flow state that allows us to move out of having the mind be the driver. Because normally, when we're practicing something, when we're learning something, we're going, okay, how do I do this? And the mind is like tinkering with us. And that's an important part of the process. But if the mind continues to be driving our experience and it's all mind, what happens is you get stuck at the mind level and you become self-conscious, self-aware. You're trying to move your body part with your mind. You are trying to really experience something like, but you're also like, oh, I'm worried. Does this look okay? Do I look stupid? Does this have the right vibe? Are people looking at me? None of that can exist in flow state. Oh, interesting. Erin's saying my volume's low and hard to hear me now. Interesting. Let me stop sharing my computer sound. We have technical difficulties up the wazoo. Okay. Okay, good. 3 or 4 people say I can still hear you fine. So it might be just on your end there, Erin, because it didn't change anything. And this is the flow. Sometimes things outside of our control interrupt us, and sometimes we must learn to navigate. But there is this element of letting go that has to happen to drop into the present moment. Another place many of you may have found flow state is maybe in meditation or dance or having, okay, I was going to say making love, right? That's a good one. I was going to say having sex. And I don't know if there's kiddos listening here, but maybe you found that. You've also probably had the experience where your mind is there and very present, and it's like giving you the narration and it's taking you out of the moment. Flow state only exists in the present moment. It does not exist the same way if our mind is leading us. We find flow in a beautiful way when our mind could be doing something else entirely, but our body and soul find the flow. And so you might also find flow state in something like doing the dishes, being in the shower, swimming, right? Any kind of physical activity where you have practiced enough that your body, mind, heart, and soul can move on autopilot because you've practiced, because you've drilled, because you have screwed up more times and made enough mistakes that you have learned how to navigate with the fumbles, with the things that go awry, right? You have learned through the practice how to move with the energy. And here's the thing. I was actually, I don't know if I'm gonna go back into sharing the screen right now because that was a little harder than it should have been. But at the end of that video, I share some outtakes. And those outtakes are me falling on my butt, like doing like chucking my hoop They are me, like, literally just making all of the mistakes I could possibly make. Well, maybe not all of them. I could have shared hours of mistakes because there were more mistakes than moments of flow. That video was shot in the Art Gallery of Edmonton with Nixie, actually, if anyone knows Nixie. And we spent about 4 hours filming because there was a lot of editing that needed to be done. Because flow state is something that we are probably not going to achieve and live in and move with all of the time. And sometimes we can have this expectation that it is supposed to always feel flow. And maybe we will get there, but we're human. At any time we are pushing our envelope and doing something that is expanding us, that's like difficult, we're going to wobble. We're going to fall, right? But the cool thing that I also learned from hula hooping and gymnastics and dancing and all kinds of other things is that if you allow yourself to drop the mind level and the judgment about how it should be going and this expectation of perception of how it should be, and we just allow ourselves to flow with it. One of my hoop senseis, Jonathan Baxter, coined this term of mistakelessness. That's the flow state where even if you mess up, drop your hoop, or it does something that does not actually, it's not what you intended to, you have this opportunity to create a new pathway of movement. So it's not a mistake, it's a cool new dance move. Even if you drop your hoop, it's an opportunity to go, can I go like, and like grab it and be like, God, I'm such a stupid moron. I'm never going to get any good at this. Or you just shimmy your way over to it and you're like, ooh, you naughty hoop, you just flew away. We're come back here, man. I'm going to pick you up and I'm going to dance again. And you keep in the flow, even when you drop it, even when you're juggling and you drop the balls. There's a way of staying in the flow, even when you make mistakes. That is that next level of flow. And so I am speaking into this with hula hooping being a metaphor for life, for business, right? For all of the things that we do as, conscious leaders, as entrepreneurs, as souls who are here to be leaders. We talked yesterday about being the pioneers, right? And the pioneers are doing things first. So that means you're doing things that are hard. You're doing things that you haven't done before. You're doing things that are new. So yes, you're going to make mistakes. And then the more mistakes you make, the faster you will learn. And I saw this for myself and my students and my clients parallel in hula hooping, gymnastics, life, and entrepreneurship. The more mistakes you allow yourself to make because you're pushing the envelope and not trying to play it safe, the faster you learn. And I'm not going to lie, anyone who knows me from back in the gymnastics days or in my hula hooping days knows that I got good really fast, right? The way I got good at hula hooping really fast was practicing at I put in a lot of hours, right? Like had like hyper focus on drilling, but also dancing with music and also taking classes and finding inspiration and watching videos and practicing. But the thing that I noticed about myself versus what a lot of other people did, because I'm not gonna lie, I got better faster than a lot of my friends who had been hula hooping for a long time. And I'm not saying that to toot my own horn, it's just what happened. I was the one who was covered in bruises. I was the one that wiped out like the most. If you saw me in a class, people would just be grooving and jamming, and chances are not one of them would wind up face first planted on the floor in a hoop class. But I did almost every time, right? I messed up all of the time. I hurt myself often because I was allowing myself to push the envelope and not play it safe, right? And that's how I got good really fast with the practice, but also letting the mistakes inform what I was doing. And those mistakes that I made allowed me to learn how to navigate. And now something that would have been a mistake when I first started is just a new pathway of movement. I can catch it. I'm more ninja, I'm more nimble. But I've also done this in entrepreneurship, right? Speaking specifically about my digital entrepreneurship over the last few years, when I moved my exclusively teaching like dance and movement arts in person online. And I made six figures in contracted sales. My first year out actually was the first 9 months. There's only 9 months in when of the year left, right? Then my second year did at least 100K of sales. Third year in business, we made the 100K mark year to date, beginning of October, barely working at all in that year because there was a lot of personal transformation going. But I also practiced really hard and really obsessively and studied and learned from as many people as I could and reinvested almost all of my money back into mentors and programs and learning and trying things. And Nicole, who has watched me very closely through this, can attest to it. Made a lot of mistakes. I threw a lot of stuff together. I threw programs out that didn't work, but I learned so much more from the mistakes. I learned so much more from not doing it properly than I would have if I had gone slow and steady and waited until I perfected something. So the way we can really allow ourselves to move into this state of flow is not to try to do it perfectly, but rather to let ourselves do it imperfectly, but to do the practices that actually support us in coming back to that center point, coming back to that place where we are in the present moment, in a relaxed nervous system state, where our mind can be a witness and our mind can even be like doing its own thing, but the mind is not driving the show. The mind is not judging. The mind is not projecting. It is body and soul flowing with in business and in life. And this is our greatest opportunity. And I will say that the greatest compliment I think I have been given in the last few years was actually by Suze Casey, the Hay House author, developer of belief repatterning, a modality that I am licensed as a practitioner in. She had witnessed me hula hoop very early on in our work together and invited me to perform in front of the community and things like that. But he said about a year and a half into working together, it's like, you know what? Now you move through life like you dance. There's flow. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. Breathing that in because I could feel that shift because it was not just one thing, it was everything. It was the practice, it was the mindset, it was the learning how to feel my feelings, it was the learning how to use my tools, it was the having mentorship, it was the trying things on, seeing if it fit and adjusting things, and all of it leading and winding into being able to create what I've created, right? Which in the last 3 years is kind of crazy. I was just speaking about this with Nicole, right? The last 3 years, like I think I haven't really done that much. And she's like, but you've launched like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 programs, 7 or 8 courses, you've hosted summits, you've become a best-selling author, you've spoken on stages, you've been on like, like 10, 15 podcasts, you've made, several like multi 6 figures, you've coached people intimately, you've created an academy, like the list goes on and on. And I'm like, do that. And it hasn't really felt like work because I've been able to take that learning of the flow state into what I'm creating as an entrepreneur. And one of the things I've realized I am here to teach and share with people is how to create that flow state in their life and in their business. I could also teach you how to do that with a hula hoop if you ever want. But that was like the training ground for me, that and learning how to be a trampoline gymnast and all of these things. But that flow state and that mastery that comes through practice and wholeness has developed into this thing that now I can share and transmit. And I know that when I am in flow state, I will tell you, I am aligned with source, right? There is this source energy that comes through that feels like I am resourced. And when I am sourced with source and I'm in that flow, I tell you, fear does not exist in that state. If I'm feeling fearful, if I'm feeling anxious, anxiety, worried about something, I know I am not in flow state. So I know I can use my practices, spiritual practices, energetic practices. I got bunches of them, drills, really, right? To get me back into flow state so that I can move forward in alignment, body, mind, heart, and soul in everything I do. And it has now moved to my friendships, my relationship with my husband, my parenting, the way I feel when I go for a walk. But this has taken years of practice, but I have studied so intensely and I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and multiple, thousands of hours, tens of thousands of hours on training myself. But I have this capacity, which is beautiful, to like synergize what I have learned and be able to share it in these codes, in these workshops, in these programs with people. And I feel like what is really interesting about what I do and what I'm ready to share with the world and speak into is I can make that spiritual flow, that divine flow, actually something that, like, I can give you the practical ways of getting there and not just saying, meditate. There's all of this practical wisdom that I have gathered from my mentors and my teachers and my life experience that can give you the how and put the pieces together so that you can create this. So deep breath in. And I'm feeling like I want to talk to Nicole, but I do want to also mention that I have prizes to give away. One prize pack actually, and all of the names, I should have mentioned this before, of people who entered are in my sound bowl, my massive bowl. Right now, I have two bowls. I were collecting more. One's itty bitty, and I could not fit everyone in here, and one's the massive one. So we are going to speak with Nicole and make you hold on to your horses until the end, building a little suspense, but also infusing everybody with this here. So, oh, I love that Hope thing. I'm creating a whole dance workshop on this topic right now, so aligned. Of course it is divine timing. I love it. So, Nicole, are you ready to unmute yourself and join me? Because I would love for you to talk about the alchemy that you have done. Let me spotlight you here. The alchemy that you have played with over the last few years to navigate the greatest freaking challenges into something that has helped you find this life of flow. Because she was also a hula hooper, a really badass hula hooper who knew how to flow with a hoop. But before that, life didn't feel super flow all the time, at least, eh?
Not all the time. So I did have a year of flow in 2015, and then the universe brought me to a whole other level in 2019 of learning how to flow in 2020. Um, so, I was just living my life like normal. And one day I was not listening to the universe. I was not living in that aligned place, and I was ignoring all of the messages because I had a little nap. And once I was being guided by spirit to wake up again, I got a hit in the head, literally, with the message to wake up. I got a concussion shutting off a lamp, interestingly enough, nothing very exciting. And it changed my life in an instant. I went from, living a normal life, able bodied, and all of a sudden I was not able to gosh, I couldn't walk around the block without my heart rate skyrocketing to like 180 beats per minute because of the nervous system dysregulation and the dysautonomia. I couldn't work anymore. I had massive headaches. I was super, super, super sensitive to like light and sound and had to be in darkness a lot. And I didn't know how to handle any of this or even what like concussions really were all about. I couldn't, yeah. So I went off work after 6 weeks of trying to struggle through this and hoping that I would get better, and I wasn't. And did feel better after going off work for, I can't even remember now, a month or two, and um, really struggled when I did try to go to back to work because I hadn't actually treated the root cause symptoms about what was going on and hadn't done the inner work healing. But I was like a lot, all of a sudden, like loss of identity. I had a 2-year-old daughter at the time who was a 2-year-old. It was very overstimulating to try to be a mom, to work, to manage all of those concussion symptoms. There was a lot of anger, a lot of rage, and I had already done a lot of work at this point in my life, and so I was trying to see, like, what is this trying to show me and help me? But it's really hard to actually be in that space of being open to possibility and understanding the lesson when you're struggling so much day to day. Like, by the time I got to work in the morning at, like, 9 a.m., I was already I was already I used to call it, like, I reached my break I broke my breaker or tripped my breaker in my brain. And that point, like I was already in the shutdown mode and I couldn't go on. I shouldn't have gone on, but I did because I didn't have a choice to. Needed to make money and try to get back to work and do all those things. And my highly stressful job, also, by the way, I had a corporate 9 to 5 job that um, since I've skip ahead left, the people that have taken over my job are like, "How did you do this all by yourself?" I'm like, "Because I was a people pleaser and I had a lot of stress and anxiety." But I didn't know it back then completely anyways. So anyways, yeah, so I was struggling, and for after about 9 or 10 months or so, I was like, um watching you, and you had just started working with your business coach at the time, Roz, and you two were like, "Life is so amazing. Oh my God, I can't believe it." And I was like, No, it's not. But also, I want some of that because I want to be in that state where life is amazing. And so I reached out to you, and we'd done a few belief repatterning sessions, and that was like, oh my God, I love this because I'd done a lot of work, but I was still kind of missing some mindset pieces. So belief repatterning was so helpful. And then you're like, these one-off sessions are great, but to create this whole transformation that you're looking for, y- let's like maybe try something a little bit more long term and like a package over 12 sessions. And I was like, oh God, I'm not working full time at this time, but like I can't continue living like this. So I need to make this investment into myself. And we had our first session in March of 2020. So that was it. Yeah, 11 months into the concussion. I'm like, something needs to change because I can't do this. And you also have this beautiful ability to see everybody's highest potential and possible highest possible outcome. And you always said, I know that you will heal from this. And I was like, I don't see it, I don't feel it, but I trust you. And I'm having the faith, keeping the faith that what you are feeling into is true. And I just am not here to feel like I'm just not at the place where I can feel it right now. So I think we had one session before the pandemic started. And the it felt so good being in your container. As I've said ever since then, my life flows so much better when I'm in one of your containers. And I noticed a distinct difference when I'm not. Um, However, you've also given me so many skills to be able to hold and manage my life and go with the flow and learn how to navigate all these challenges with so much more ease being in your containers as well. So you're like, giving me how does that phrase go? You can give a man a fish or teach him how to fish and then he'll know how to do it, sustain himself. You're teaching me how to fish, I'm trying to say. And so anyways, so in our first session, we were in this beautiful, blissful, like state, open heart, coherence, and I don't even remember, but it was very beautiful. And you're like, what is the intention that you want to hold and set while we're in this state? And we said, to be able to not work and heal from this concussion. And I knew that there was like some things happening at my job at the time where there was like talks of severance packages being handed out. And I was like so scared to leave the safety net of my work, even though there is a possibility that I would get like $60,000 and not have to continue working so I could heal on the concussion. But there was so much part of a concussion is nervous system dysregulation as well. So like on top of all the burnout, but that's a whole other story that I was experiencing. And Yeah, so there was a lot of nervous system regulation to do, but being in your container and setting that intention, you helped me see that there is like a possibility that where I wasn't contracted, that space that you were speaking of, where when you're in that aligned state, the calm nervous system, there is no fear because I'm like, oh, I am going to be supported. And I was. I kept hearing the song, Take the Money and Run. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to that. Take the money and run. And so I did. We continued our coaching and it was amazing. I was like, I knew that I could finally, like, this happened for a reason. I finally understood why the concussion happened to me was to get out of my head where my head was leading and to actually get into my heart and not just live that way sometimes, but actually embody that living in my heart space and following my heart and learning how to still, you know, listen to what my mind has to say, but not make it the driver of the ship. So, mm. Eventually, it still took about another year after that of me leaving my job to heal and to declare myself concussion free by being at a music festival, LED hula hooping at the main stage at nighttime. It's like, okay, if I can handle all of this stimulation right now, I'm concussion free. Yay. But it wasn't just the one-on-one coaching because that gave me the new perspective and the possibility, but your program and evolve was so helpful because it gave me those tools and the discipline and like the things that I need to do every day. Because as you talked about, and being in the getting in that flow state, we all want to be in flow, but it actually requires like structure and discipline. And I need to do like my daily energy routine. I have so many non-negotiable things that I do every day, and that really helps me fine-tune my frequency so that I can stay in that higher perspective. And like last month, for example, I was sick. My husband was away for 2 weeks. My daughter got sick on my birthday. Like I was home with her. It was intense. And then my dog died. And it was like, sounds like a country song. And it was really hard. But I was able to be in such a beautiful divine flow with it all. And like my dog dying actually opened my heart even more. And I felt like a bigger, awakening and spiritual connection and connection to yeah, just deeper connection and able to be in that present state in that space in that flow state and hold space for myself while that was all happening and unfolding and I wasn't able to work very much. And my credit card I realized was like maxed out and I'm like, I am not concerned about this at all. And then magically, because I was in that flow space that surrender, two new clients like showed up out of thin air when I wasn't even advertising my services or anything. It was just, yeah, this beautiful example of how I went from like life being so contracted and hard, and it was, and not minimizing any of that, but also opening up to the divine flow and having these skills and tools that I've cultivated over the discipline of the past two, well, 3 years, I guess, really, but more focused in the past 2 years for sure. And no, I'm just so grateful for everything that you shared with me to be in your containers and to be able to have this space for the freedom that I've created in my life now. Because I left my job. I work for you. I do my own stuff. I get to be creative. I get to do all the things that I'm living the life now that I dreamed of like a decade ago that I never thought was possible. I was so scared to leave my job because I had 6 weeks of vacation and a high pension and benefits and I have a high salary and all those things, which are really scary to leave. But the universe is like, okay, it's time for you to leave and show up and do what you need to do. And it's also been like a big journey of, still working through stuff as I go to be where I am right now. So I know there's more to come, and I'm also so fucking grateful that I'm here right now. Here I'm mute still.
Oh, you being celebrated in the comments, Nicole. Your journey has been so magical to witness. And I have known Nicole for over 11 years, and we have intertwined and danced together in many ways. And I mean, I did have a very vested interest in her healing and becoming healthy, not only because we were friends, but I also felt like we had so much work to do together. And I wasn't sure what that was going to look like. We originally thought it was just retreats because way before we had kids and Nicole had her concussion, we hosted one amazing Radiant Soul women's retreat. And we were like, oh my God, more, let's do more. But we didn't realize how we were going to get there. So it has been, yeah, my pleasure. But what I love so much about Nicole is, well, all of the things. Obviously, I could go on for days, but specifically, she takes these spiritual truth and these principles and all of these things that were, like in her field, and she has learned how to use them on the daily and cultivate her energy as though it is her full-time job. Because at this stage in the game where we all are, it is. And when you can, and this is a quote from a friend and other co-creator, Mindy Tharton, if you make your business your side hustle and your energy your full-time job, that is where the magic will happen. And I witnessed Nicole doing this. I witnessed her showing up for herself first and moving through things as they arise. And in order to get there, you have to go through the layers of healing, right? Like, and that's what I was saying yesterday. All of you that are here have done the work. And it's not that you're this pure, clean channel that can be in flow always, and neither am I, and neither is Nicole. Stuff still comes up. But we come to a place in our healing where we don't have to be taken out for long. Something comes up and you do all these steps, like, your dog dying, is a great example where you're like, okay, what do I need in all of the realms, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, in terms of action, in terms of connection, in terms of support. And you felt the feelings, but you didn't get stuck there. And you allowed yourself to let it expand you into what was possible. And I witness her doing this all the time, which is what I absolutely adore about her. So, like, yeah, full disclosure, Nicole has been my client. She is still my client, but she also does work for me. She works with me. She's in my mastermind. She's been in the Creation Coach program, and she is training to be a facilitator in there. She is my coach in there, right? So we co-create all of these different ways, but she puts into action these pieces so that she can create this, co-create with me. And it's this new earth energy, new paradigm. And when I'm talking new earth, new paradigm, I'm not talking about like some weird, like we flip the switch and we're in another dimension and it's like separate from people. We don't need to have one paradigm die before we can build the new one, but the new paradigm of co-creation, right? Where we are co-creating all of this magic together in community, in different containers, in the flow of life where we're all getting to dance together. And this is the opportunity. And I'm going to speak more tomorrow about the next container that I am creating. There's so many different ways that you can work with me. Nicole mentioned one-on-one. We've talked about creation coach container. I've got self-study courses, which someone is going to win very soon, as well as a one-on-one with me. I do long-term coaching containers to walk with someone through their journey, because a one and done is not going to get us to where we want to go, which is a place of divine embodiment, alchemy, and magic flow. But I'm going to actually put a bonus call up because I feel like I want to share what I'm going to call my apothecary, like my market of my medicine cabinet of different places and ways that you can work with me. But tomorrow I'm going to tell you more about the next container that is feeling really aligned to share right now. A month ago, I had no idea this container was going to come back, but the one Nicole mentioned called Evolve, a multidimensional mastermind group coaching experience of 90 days where we're going to go in, and this is for the visionaries and entrepreneurs who want to learn how to stabilize their energy into being able to move with the divine alchemy daily and be in that divine flow so they can hear their soul and get so clear on their vision and what they're setting up for 2023. And it's really fun because we're going to do it as an arc over like December, January into the end of February, like 90 days, where normally a program would end before the year's end and start a new one at the beginning of the year. But I'm like, I'm seeing this energy. We want to go over top is this beautiful arc and flow through the solstice point and get so clear before the solstice point, do all the alchemy, get really clear and fresh so we can go in to plant the seeds that we have heard from our soul, not our mind, not our ego, but our soul sharing with us what is next for us in 2023, which is going to be the most amazing year, by the way. The energy of it is so profound. The world's going to get shaken up, but the leaders that have been doing the work, you're going to find this flow for yourself, and creation is going to be so much easier if you continue to navigate like riding the waves. And then we're going to be able to set intention in January and like set the aligned action plan up. So it's this like, how do you want to be next year? We're going to set it up so you can just like just saw this bowling, like knock it down kind of thing. It's going to be so much fun. So that's called Evolve. And I'll tell you more about that tomorrow. But there's so many different ways that you can do this stuff. And I'm sure many of you are very multidimensional, multi-passionate people. And I want to tell you that that is the new way and the new wave. And when you're in flow, you are going to find that you're able to bring those pieces that are separate back home, right? Back home into that aligned place where you get to show up as all of you. And you might not be able to do everything all at once, right? And things might evolve and expand, but you'll find that things that maybe you used to teach, maybe you got really good at, and then you move niches, you move from health coaching into life coaching or whatever you're doing, right? You might find the lessons that you thought you had learned in there and left behind are all coming together. And it's this beautiful spiral energy, right? We get to be all that we are now. Even if you are focusing on one program or one niche, you don't have to niche yourself, is what I'm saying. Your program and your offer can be very niched. Like I've got some that are, let me teach you light language. I got some that are, let me teach you how to build a business. I've got some that are, let us play in divine alchemy. I've got some that are like, hey, let's do an entrepreneurial journey. They have a niche. They have a person. They're not all for Grandpa Joe, and they're not all for entrepreneurs, and they're not all for, I don't know, plumbers, right? They're none of them for plumbers unless the plumber happens to want to play with us. But the energy that is in them is the same kind of alchemy and divine flow that we are teaching in different ways. Because when we come out of separation, which is where we're moving out of, that's the old paradigm, the frequency of scarcity and separation we talked about, we're moving into that beautiful divine flow. All parts of ourselves get to dance with us. Okay. Like when Sue said, I now dance in life as I used to hula hoop, right? I move through life. I create my business like this and I can feel it. And it has this feeling and that bliss that the definition of flow state included. I tell you, it is there. It feels so good because there's no resistance when I'm in the flow state. But what I do to live there more and more is I'm conscious and aware instead of just living my life without my consciousness, which is how the first part of it very much went and how most of us do. It's I notice when it doesn't feel good and I go, how can I alchemize this? What tools do I need? And I use them and I use them prophylactically as well as when I need them, which means before you need them. Before you need them, you get to use your tools. So cultivating the discipline and the practices and also adding them as an ad needed basis, which I don't think is talked about enough. People talk about these spiritual principles and they talk about entrepreneurship and they don't talk about making it freaking practical. Like, how can you use this to be the most badass version of yourself? It's by using these alchemical tools so that you dissolve the density as you go so that you can feel the divine flow. And that means when you notice your energy field contracting and making you small, putting you into fight, flight, freeze, all of those, you don't judge yourself or blame yourself, but you notice and you ask yourself, what do I need? What do I need to feel safe? What do I need to move this energy? What do I need to feel in flow? And once you get to that place and you open it up, and there's a million ways, you've got tools, you know how to do that. You go, what do I need to heal the trigger? What do I need to make sure that this isn't going to come up again every time the situation happens? Right? There is this next level available to you. So we talked yesterday about your soul work. The soul work was to think of a time where something really crappy happened and it made you who you were, right? It was like, what created this beautiful learning process for you? What were you able to alchemize in, and what kind of synergy was there for you? So I hope you reflected on that and how it gave you mastery, like looking in hindsight. What did you do in the past that you moved through and come into more mastery? How did you become a badass? How did you get better at what you're doing? It was probably through challenges, right? The challenges, the crap, the hard stuff. That's what made you a badass, not when things were easy. So part of our work, by the way, you're welcome to share a story about that in the group if you feel like being witnessed in it, right? So once you have that perspective of, wow, challenges actually make me more badass, that will help you raise your frequency to see the possibilities, to see the solutions already, right? Because you are primed to go, something's happening. How can I be more badass? How can I navigate this? And I know you've all been through incredibly challenging things, especially these last few years, but throughout your lifetime. I know that because that's what the healers and the light workers and the conscious leaders all signed up for, which is another discussion. But today I'd like to invite you to reflect on your soul work of, where do you already have flow? Where have you experienced it? And where would you like more flow in your life? And to also just start to think about, like, what if you could live in this flow state more? What would that allow you to create with your business and your beingness if you were able to be in that flow state more often? That's really what the conversation in day 3 is going to be about, embodying your soul frequency, which is what is available to us when we are in flow and we are open and available to it. Because if we have the shield up, your soul energy, like, it doesn't have space to land. It doesn't work like that. So our conversation tomorrow is going to be amazing. I will tell you about different ways that you can plug into this energy if you'd like more, but I will do that apothecary call. So tomorrow's not going to be a hard sell. That's not how I roll. I really wanted this to be a transmission, an opportunity for you to receive what you need, regardless of whether or not we work together. And I'm going to schedule a call for Monday or Tuesday where I'm like, here's all the different ways you can play my apothecary. But I am going to now pull the name of the person who is going to win the prize pack with me. And, if I'm being really honest, I can't remember everything I put in there. I'm pretty sure it is my light language course, which teaches people how to find flow with their voice, right? And not just light language is just the way that I create it. It's really more about soul voice and soul expression, being able to speak your truth, being able to tap in without needing a warm up, being able to tap in and be like speaking from your soul, which is very much a very handy thing for entrepreneurs, by the way. Because if you cannot tap into your truth and your soul flow and you're shut down from sharing that, oh my gosh, that is going to hinder you, right? I am great at activating people's voice flow as well as their hula hoop flow, as well as their business flow, their life flow. That's just being a flow coach sounds like I'm helping you with period products or something. So we have the light language course and the next fucking level manifestation course as well, as which is, by the way, my like journey of how to manifest, not with manifestation. It is going beyond that into alchemical creation with your soul. And it's got belief repatterning and all kinds of fun stuff. And Hope, with your belief repatterning question, I'm going to message you because it's kind of a bigger conversation. Then it also includes the Playground Resource Library with a bunch of tools to support you in really anchoring into your practices in ceremony and a one-on-one session with me where we get to play with the divine alchemy in your soul flow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give everybody that entered a little moment to receive a little sound alchemy. And I did some earlier, and this is new for me. I just realized that my next level was working with sound specifically and sharing, and I have no idea if it sounds good or bad on the loop, but let's just share the sound vibration for all who share this out, which I believe is win-win. And just gonna go in and pull this name. Ooh, Roxanne Landry. Not sure. Are you here with us live, Roxanne? If not, we are going. Oh, it's 12:12 here now. How perfect. So we will tag Roxanne and let her know. And I love that so much that your next level is vocal work too. Hope a lot of us are being called into this, and you'll see more and more of this being spoken of because sound and frequency are so important for creation. I have news as well in my apothecary, and maybe tomorrow I'll tell you a little bit more about it too. My next level of membership that I want to share, the next way that is the entry level to work with me is called frequency, and it's going to be all kinds of beautiful ways to play with frequency. And I will add in more and more sound because I feel like this is where a lot of us are being pulled. A lot of us are ready to move beyond like words. Words are great. Don't get me wrong. I love words. I am a wordsmith. Words contain these frequencies, and the frequencies have electromagnetic packages of information that we feel. And it comes with a lot of baggage and things like that. So when we work directly with sound and we're not specifically having to translate it, we can bypass the mind and go right to the body, right to the soul level. And it's a fun exploration. I can't wait to see what you do with that hope. But this has been really divine. This has been an opportunity to flow with what is happening, our tech challenges, all of that, and to play in this beautiful, intimate way. So we'll see if we can live stream onto Facebook tomorrow. But tomorrow is going to be about embodying your soul frequency, like your own unique essence, which is the freaking point of being here, my friends, right? All of the alchemy, all of the healing work, all of the things you have been doing, the healing work is not the destination. The destination is coming into this open state where your soul can descend as your consciousness ascends, and they all meet inside of your body vehicle right here, right now. We're not leaving, we're landing into this present moment so that we can create from this place of divine flow with all of our magic and share our unique soul codes, our voices, our tones, what we're here to do. And I know all of you are beautiful leaders who are here to do great, amazing things. So I can't wait to talk to you more tomorrow about embodying your soul frequency and what possibilities come when you live in more of this flow state more often as the divine alchemist who is able to move through the density as it arises or more quickly than you could in the past. This next level is so divine. That's why I call this divine alchemy. It's so amazing. And Nicole is just saying, yes, these longer term containers, she's saying, it's not just getting to a place of surviving and like being able to survive it. It's like what is beyond surviving and even beyond thriving is Nicole's new frequency is wild abundance. And I freaking love that. So we'll talk about this embodiment and how, like, what can we move forward with? How can we take all of this, these codes, these ideas, and actually live it tomorrow? So, beautiful ones, let's take a breath in and out. And let's set the intention for all of these conversations and codes and activations because much has been happening behind the scenes energetically. By the way, you might have felt it hot, cold, tingles, all that fun stuff. What we will ask for is for it to be integrated with ease. And I didn't have time to do another visualization activation today, but we will do one tomorrow if you want to go on another adventure with me. So thank you so much for being here. I love you so much. And if you know someone that needs to hear this conversation, you just feel it, it's not too late to invite them in as well. So thank you, beautiful beings. So much love to you. We'll connect tomorrow and yeah, drop any questions that you have. And if you'd like, I can drop the full hoop video with the bloopers into the Facebook group too.